All right, at this time I would like to call to order the Hardin County Board of Education meeting and pledge first. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to have a moment of silence for custodian that J.T. Alton passed away, and I think it was pretty close to a month ago. It was shortly after our board meeting. But William Brown, so if you would, we'll have a moment of silence for Mr. Brown. All right, thank you. And the board commitments, do you remember those, Dawn, from today?
I do. To improve our effectiveness, the Hardin County Board of Education commits to keep children first, listen, be prepared, be professional, demonstrate financial stewardship, represent the entire district and support district goals, and support board decisions.
Thank you. Okay, focus on academics, and John Wright's going to take care of that for us.
Well, I'm not going to take care of it. I'm just going to introduce him. Ms. Hahn's going to take care of it. But Mr. Sutton cannot be here tonight, so he asked if I could introduce Ms. Hahn. Shelley Hahn is the library media specialist at North Middle School, and there's been a very successful summer reading program going on across the district, and so Ms. Hahn's going to tell you about that and the benefits our students have seen from that.
Good.
All right, Mr. Sutton asked for me to just highlight some things. He wanted you all to know a little bit about the thoughts on the materials that we purchased. I had the privilege of doing this last year where we used a System 44 program, and System 44 is a great program if you have a year to implement so you can analyze the data. It wasn't effective. So this year it was Scholastic Lit Camp. And it turned the summer reading program into more of a camp setting. It was almost like Bible school, but a reading school. It was really neat. We had first, second, and third graders, and at my Radcliffe site, we had approximately 100 students. So around 80, I would say consistently 80. I know the Heartland site had consistently probably 40, and I think the G.C. Burkhead site, which did the southern end of the county, they had around 80 a day. So we'd like to do more children if we have the program next year, but I thought that was a really good number. The materials, the Scholastic Lit Camp, the teachers absolutely loved the program. They loved it. It was scripted. It was designed for a short 4-week program. I think you could do a 4-week or an 8-week, and we did the 4-week program. I got to direct it, and I got to go into the classrooms, and let me tell you, I was all just goosebumped out because, number one, the teachers were very excited about teaching this. It was scripted. And I think the biggest fear they had is how much prep was going to go into teaching a summer program. It was completely scripted for them. Each day was kind of a character theme. And the stories that went with these themes were fantastic. Kindness, bucket fillers, honesty, all of these character virtues that you want the children to have. And the stories were fantastic. So not only did I see really good instruction going on, but a lot of the teachers went back and even added their own extensions. An example is, one of the stories was, how is a rainbow made? And it wasn't a scientific book. It was a virtue book. But then when I walked in, the teachers had their little clear cups, and they were shining lights, and the children were making rainbows. I mean, it was like, I have goosebumps. I'm kind of nerding out right now. But it was really great. The program was really great. The teachers loved it, and all of them have said, every single one of them, I want to do it next year. So that's definitely a bonus. I even have a Facebook post for you from a parent. So as the director standpoint, a parent comes in and says, I need to see his teacher. Okay. It's just a summer program. But she's like, I've even made a Facebook post about this. Okay, I'll go get her. It says, as most of you know, Cam has a dislike for school due to it not being so easy for him. Well, I put him in an extra reading program that the school offers in the beginning of the summer. I have to say it melts my heart so much that he actually looks forward to going every day. He even told me this morning when waiting for the bus that he is upset Thursday is the last day. His reading has improved so much in just a month, I couldn't be happier. It really makes me so happy that he's enjoying school now rather than hating it. One proud mama. He struggled for so long and is now reading so much. He is finally ready for 3rd grade. I love my boy and I am so thankful the school offered this summer program. And he's a cutie little thing and just a little boy who was a reluctant reader. Those are the types of kids that we hope to reach. I often had parents say, we're going on vacation next week, and the kid was upset, like, I tried to stay with my grandma so I could come, but it worked out really well. It was a success in many ways. So that's all I have. And I have this fancy Facebook post if you'd like it, because Dad even commented and said he has improved immensely. I forgot to tell you, he read something to Chloe as she was sitting on my lap. Cameron was leaning on the arm of the chair and read out something pretty decent, and I was like, wow, buddy, great job, and his face lit up, and he grinned ear to ear. I mean, come on, that's what it's all about.
Good job.
So, all right, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. We love to hear the positive comments, and that's very positive. John, I think you're going to introduce the lady here from Train.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to introduce Christy Fetch from Train. As the board knows, we do a great deal of business with Train. They provide most of our HVAC equipment as well as controls. And about a year ago, we entered into an intelligent service agreement with Train. And I'm sure Christy will refresh you on kind of what that contract was about and some really good news to share with you on the program. So Christy, if you want to come up.
So is this a SCADA sort of system?
So actually what it is taking real-time data from the building automation and it runs it through cloud analytics. So about a year ago, the district made the decision to invest in the program and some real-time metering. So if you want to go to the next slide. So the program is really designed to be just that, a support structure for the district, working with the facilities team on how do we leverage information and infrastructure you've already made investments in. So we take real-time data and it's processed through the cloud analytics. I don't know how much, we get so much data nowadays. It's just, we're inundated. Everywhere you look, here's more information. And a lot of times we don't even know what to do with that data and it's overwhelming. And so the program is designed to create a platform to have discussions and to have a team built around how do we make this data actionable. So that team includes Joe Stucker and Kathy Cross and Kyle Lucas, and then we have from our side, we have an optimization engineer, so that's dedicated to Hardin County Schools. We have remote technician support, so when there is a question that comes in or a need, they're able to call and make a request. And so an example of that was around like project graduation. We had some setbacks so that we are optimizing and saving money, but we really needed it comfortable for project graduation, and so Kathy was able to call us and say, could you help make sure these set points are where we need to be? And so we were able to do that remotely and just take care of it quickly. So the other piece is, how do we benchmark? How do we keep making ourselves better? And so tonight I just hope to share with you, this is kind of a pilot program. We're doing this at Central and at John Hardin, and so wanting to show the results of that. So if you want to go to the next slide, thank you. So people want to say, okay, well, what's the money? That's usually the first thing people want to know. So this is just shy of a year, so we're looking at 11 months of impact. And from a consumption side and a demand side of what the savings are from electricity. I will break it down a little bit deeper, but just wanted to show that the initial impact was $17,359. And I will say that that's pretty significant in the first year, because the first year we're still collecting data and we're still building out profiles for those two buildings. And so starting to make that big of an impact right in the first year is huge. And that goes to show that the commitment that the facilities team has in this as well, is that they're supporting it and they're making decisions and they're making recommendations because they're living and breathing it every day. But to be fully transparent, so there was an investment, so about $5,000 net after that investment. And the investment sounded like putting in real-time meters at Central Hardin and at John Hardin, so we have real-time electric meters. The piece that's important about that is now that the electric meter and the building automation, they kind of work together. We can see it all. It's a full picture.
So do the meters report back through the train system itself?
They do. So they report through the train system, but then there's also a dashboard. We have a cloud-based dashboard that everyone has access to as well. All right, moving on. So just wanted to show graphically. So what you're looking at is for, in the blue, is a combined average. So we're looking at a baseline of 2014, 2015, 2016 is in the blue, and then in the green is what the past year looks like. And really just showing you what is that trend. This one is consumption. So I have coming up a slide about what is consumption and what is demand. But if you think of consumption as the odometer on your car, it's just moving. It's just turning and turning and turning. And so this is the amount of electricity that you use. In the last 12 months, we didn't focus as much on impacting this as we did demand, and I'll share why coming up. But the call-outs are just some of the things that we did. We implemented scheduling and really looked at when was it necessary to have true comfortable temperatures. Could we set back at night, and what were the opportunities there? What are the overrides? Sometimes in a system, someone may go in and say, oh, we need it to be this, we need to be at this state. This room needs to be at this state for this period of time, but they go in, they set it up, and then they leave and they forget, and it just happens to all of us. And so we were able to go back through and reset the system, almost like a retro commissioning, if you will. And then we continued, because we are trained and we understand the full picture and the equipment and the systems. We use our knowledge base to really offer additional what we call energy conservation measures. So the next piece is the demand, and this is where you'll see greater dividends in the bars, and that's because demand is the most expensive energy that you will pay for. And so we wanted to really go for the biggest bang for your buck first, and then we can get into the consumption side. So if you think of a car, we've got the odometer is just turning, is how much energy you're using is consumption. Demand is more like the speedometer. You're cruising at 50, all of a sudden you punch it and you're at 80 miles per hour. The electric company is going to say, well, you needed it maybe for 2 minutes or maybe for 15 minutes. We're always going to have that on standby for you, so you pay a premium for that. And so you set that right now, you set that monthly, and in the future there's opportunity that the electric company may ratchet you, which means you set it for 11 months. You made one 15-minute error or one 15-minute decision, and now you're penalized for 11 months. And so that's what we're trying to avoid. You have one school on that rate structure currently. So go ahead. So this was my breakdown there. I just wanted to make sure. So you can go to the next one. So we already kind of talked about that. So I thought that it would be of value to show an actual electric bill. If you'll click again. So this one line is your energy charge. This is this is Central Hardin. This was the month of April electric invoice. And so what you're looking at highlighted right now is your consumption, what your odometer was turning at. You only pay 3 cents for, if you'll click again. What just highlighted there is what you're paying for in demand. And so you've got multiple tiers of demand over different times of the day, and you can see there it ranges from $6, $4.50, $5.13, much greater than the 3 cents for the consumption. And so that's why we chose to really focus on that the first year. And also, one thing to note, the electric company does not tell you when you hit these peaks. So without that information, you can't change your behaviors and you can't impact that. And so having invested in the electric meter tied into the building automation, real time, we're saying you hit this at this time, and this was for how many minutes, and now let's go back to the train system and see what was happening within those 4 walls at that time. And so we work with the facilities team to say, how could we impact that? What can we do to continue to shape that? So I just think that's critical to note that information is not freely given. We have to find it ourselves. So
I didn't realize we paid our school utilities tax too. We pay ourselves.
Yes, well, so we actually, I think we brought that up recently. We found some other tax things that, because we were analyzing and brought that to some attention. So it may be something that changes. But on the, people usually ask me, one of the questions I get is, well, why does Train care? And so this is just for a typical commercial building. We're looking at what does an electrical spend makeup look like. And if you see that, train can impact the HVAC, which is 60% of the pie. And we also can impact the lighting. And so now you're looking at 3/4 of the pie. We better be carried. If our equipment's using it, we better understand how to impact it. And so that's really why we do care. And looking forward, yeah, go ahead, thank you. So what's next? What do we do? You know, we've gotten some results. We've gotten a year of data under our belt. So now what do we do? Well, we continue to sustain these results. That's one part of it, is when you're constantly watching it and there's someone there being a guard dog, if you will, we're able to sustain the results we've already gotten, but then also leverage the investments to keep going. And how do we continue together to make impacts and keep money in the district so that it keeps the resources in the district. And also, you know, where we're using this in other school districts is we're actually taking it to the classrooms and creating STEM initiatives. So we have data and dashboards and interactive tools that, you know, we have to crawl before we run, but right now, so we're just kind of building out a pilot program, but absolutely something to think about in the future. So I'd love to open up for questions if you have any, and I kind of blazed through that, so.
Pretty much answered mine along the way.
Oh, good, awesome.
Thanks.
So right now, we're only doing two schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there plans to, I'm sorry about my
No, please don't,
back.
no, you're fine, don't worry, I understand. I was on a scooter for a while, so I totally understand.
Are we planning on expanding that to other schools?
Well, I think it depends on how it goes, right?
No, I think we said we would do this.
I'm sure Christy would sign a contract with you today.
You can't see me, but I'm blushing. No.
Why, yes.
Just to refresh the board's memory, this was, again, a kind of a pilot. Christy alluded to that fact, and we kind of wanted to see how this was going to go. And so far, the results look good. So I think the better results, the more we'll be coming to the board and asking permission to
Okay.
maybe add on additional schools. These two schools were targeted specifically because, based on relationship with Train, they felt like they can affect pretty good change there. So, you know, we'll be evaluating additional schools and see if we can add them on as well. I think Christy may have mentioned, but I just want to point out again, the net savings is fairly low the first year because we had to put up that initial upfront
Buy
cost
some of the stuff
for the
to set
monitors.
up, yeah.
So hopefully next year, that net savings will go up significantly because we won't be buying monitors again. So.
But beyond that, the system you'll have data to tune the system better and be predictive and.
Absolutely, and that's what, I mean, and so there's an energy piece to it, but there's also a predictive maintenance piece to it. And so I probably failed to mention that we're trying to eliminate, you know, downtime. We don't want any unexpected failures. And so because we're monitoring the system, we can see anomalies and we can notify the facilities team to say, there's a red flag, we need to watch this or take action on this immediately. And then ultimately trying not to deploy as many technicians to the site so that we can provide in-house resources. You all have the resources, we can give you the knowledge, and so we team together, so.
If I could, I don't mean to put him on the spot. Joe, is there anything else you want to add? I know you've worked closely with Christy and your team.
No, I don't. I mean, it's been a great relationship. Where do you need me to go?
Yeah.
It's been a great relationship. We've really seen a lot of savings. Obviously, it's going to continue to grow, as they said, and it's been a great program. So.
Seems like when we reviewed the whole program there 2 or 3 years ago, it was about a $8 million investment. It seems like to switch everything over. And we were going to get 12 return over some time.
That was a
4
little
million
bit
gain, wasn't it?
That was a little bit different type of.
Okay.
That was an energy savings contract, which was where we're going in and doing major innovations to building. All really that's happening here is they're monitoring our use and our demand and tweaking the profile of the building to affect savings. So it's not the same contract we looked at the first time.
We kind of backburnered that because technology was changing so fast on lighting and some things. You know, I put in some lights that were 140 to 50 a piece. 6 months down the road, they're 100, and today they're 50. And so I think that was part of our reasoning at that time of not going with some of that programming. So this has given us an idea just by monitoring at what you can control. It's amazing to know that, you know, somebody comes in and you say, oh, I'll kick the thermostat up to 60 and cool her down real good in here. It's hot out here today, and that spikes your bill and costs you
And it costs
enormously
you
for the whole
like I
month.
said, 11 months.
Yeah, so at the one school that's a KU facility, it can cost you for 11 months, so, absolutely. So which is a good point, because some of the savings from even the demand side, we won't even capture all of yet. I
Yeah,
mean, it's-
you're not going to see all
we
that
won't even
savings.
see it
Even if you
until,
stopped right now, the savings goes on. If we say,
Exactly.
don't do another thing, we get savings
You'd
for
still
another
get the
11
same.
months from that.
right, exactly. Just because of the rate structure. And it should be noted that in
Great stuff.
Kentucky, we are seeing on average a 20% electric increase for commercial buildings annually. So, I mean, you're essentially doubling every 5 years, and that really impacts your budget. Where does that come from? Where do you make that up? And so as much as we don't send to the utility company is what we can stay in the district. So I just want to make that note.
Well, Joe, we'll get you a belt with 24 monitors on it, and nobody can turn the thermostat up or down till it goes through you.
Actually, one of the benefits of the system is there are times of the day where it doesn't really make any difference what you set the thermostat to. It won't really cost you any more money.
Yes, it's true, and that's where we have to, as the experts or as someone that's watching it, is we should be noted, we did not impact comfort of the classrooms.
Yeah.
There was we really monitored what were complaint calls, are we getting those as we made the changes? And so you're right, though, we want to watch where is it important, so.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right,
thank you all.
Okay, Sherman Carter Barnhart have a representative here? No?
I do believe so. Yes, sir.
What about Mr. Rob Deal from JRA? I believe he's talked to us before today. We had a little board retreat, and we
A little one.
a long one, and we've reviewed a lot of things today. Gave us a lot of time to look over some new school schematics and design and so forth, and Rob's here to tell us a little more about it tonight.
Well, and
Our
I'll sort
general
of,
public.
you've had a little time to think since the last presentation, and I'll sort of recap everything I went through earlier today for everybody else that's in attendance tonight. But we have reached a milestone, probably our first critical milestone on the progress of both the new Lincoln Trail Elementary and the new East Hardin Middle School. And so what I brought to the board tonight is the request for schematic design approval for both buildings. And each of the board members, I've provided a booklet earlier today that for each building. And also there's a board packet that you have on your agenda tonight that really are the actual documents that we'll be sending to KDE for approval. And I've delivered to John hard copies of those drawings as well. But real quickly, I'll spend about 5 minutes with each building and kind of step through sort of where we started. I always like to put in sort of the precedent imagery just to sort of remind everybody why the board is undertaking this effort and spending the money for all the right reasons, and that is to replace the existing Lincoln Trail Elementary School. And as I mentioned, I've kind of always liked to show a little bit about the process that the drawings that you see presented tonight and the renderings start at a really early commitment and sort of design effort with the steering committee that John and Ms. Morgan have put together. And we started with a little block diagram exercise that took all the different spaces within the building and organized them and came up with sort of the diagram that you see before us. And also coupling that with your latest, greatest buildings like Cecilia Valley that just recently opened, and looking at some other precedent plans and imagery to really take the best of the best in the district and buildings that we've done, and actually other buildings other architects have done, and even including the building in Tennessee that we toured last year. So we've really tried to infuse all of the best ideas that we could into both plans for Lincoln Trail and East Hardin Middle School. Just real quickly, just a reminder of where the site is. You can see the tract of land. This is for Lincoln Trail. This is 62 right through here. If you're familiar with Lincoln Trail, if I recall correctly, it's 0.7 miles to this side of the site. And as I advance the slide, you'll notice this little hitch in the geometry of the site plan will locate where the building is on the plan. So this is our proposed site plan for the building. Again, this will be 62 along in this direction. The existing Lincoln Trail is towards this corner. And basically, it's pretty easy to follow. We have a sort of a major loop here for car riders that we can have at least 2 lanes to actually stack the cars and get them off of 62. We have a large bus loop here. And the interesting thing on this plan is that everybody kind of shares one canopy and one front door to the building. But car riders will be on this side of the loop, bus riders on this side of the canopy, and everybody comes through the front door. We've located in schematic our geothermal field. You will have noticed that the site is actually much larger than where the building sits, and so we've preserved a way to access the back half of the property should the board elect to develop that in the future. And we've also, that's okay. I don't know what, if I'm doing it, I may need to.
No, you're not, I am.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what to do with this thing.
We've also master planned the site so that there's a zone where we could add on to the building in the future and do that economically. So you sort of see that little box there stepping out. And then just the other features, the service entry to the building, the kitchen dock, maintenance areas, the preschool playground, the other playgrounds sit sort of behind the building proper. Moving on to the first floor plan, you can sort of see some of relationships between Cecilia Valley, but it's slightly different in some ways. Again, everybody coming through the main front door, we've got the cafeteria and kitchen. Again, if you're a breakfast person, student coming in, you can load into the cafeteria quickly. Administration and the security vestibule are right here, so the main office door is right in this corner. All of the leadership offices, the administration, all have windows kind of looking out onto that parking lot and a bus loop area, so everybody's got good line of sight for everybody approaching the building. Sort of to the back side of the cafeteria, very similar to Cecilia, is the gymnasium to the building. And so this sets up a nice relationship where we sized both of them to actually have basketball courts in both of them, just like Cecilia. That was a great feature everybody embraced as we started the design. Kind of coming down, you can sort of see our primary grade level wing, our family resource center, past classroom, our first and second graders in the light blue here. We've also added some teacher administration workspace on both levels and kind of the far end of the building as well to keep the footsteps for the staff to a minimum between classrooms. And then coming up through here are our pair of preschool classrooms sort of off of the green. And then balancing out really the majority of the space left on the first floor in the yellow is the library media center, kind of in the center of where all the action is, so to speak. And our low incidence room here back off of the corner. And then again, upstairs is pretty straightforward. Everything stacks. The balance of our classrooms are up here. Art room. Building actually has a nice feature with sort of a flex classroom right here in the middle that can be used for multiple different programs, speech, ESL, gifted and talented. Everybody can kind of share that room because it doesn't impact the function of any of the other classrooms. You don't have to give up space for those special programs. Oh. And then, of course, what does the building look like? That's always the next question we get. So you see the sort of the two-dimensional elevations here. Basically, of a majority of a brick building with some proposed fiber cement paneling material that sits above some of the high roof areas, and then roofed with a sloped metal roof over the entirety of the building. These look great, but what I always like to show off are actually what the building might look like in 3 dimensions. So again, if you can imagine yourself here, this is a bus pulling up. This is sort of the view you get from the bus loop side of the building, again with that main front canopy coming off and sort of creating the entrance into the building. I don't think it's, at this point, it's pretty well known or identifiable where the front door of the building is. Again, if you're a car rider, you have sort of a view like this coming towards the building and the front door as well. Again, you can sort of see the brick materials and the fiber cement paneling in this view as well. And then last but not least, we thought that since we have this great field and opportunity of acreage in the back of the building, we can kind of show at least our vision of what that could really become to the back of the building. So you could sort of see our gym mass there, the library sitting here, classrooms above, and the wing. So that is pretty much the sort of recap of Lincoln Trail. Are there any questions from the board on Lincoln Trail, or shall I move on to East? Move on. Okay. Of course, there are two schools running in parallel. We also are designing the new East Hardin Middle School. Similar in its approach, but it is a larger building. This is your largest middle school in the district, serving 800 students. North Hardin, actually we met at North Hardin for our kickoff meeting. North, by comparison, is designed for 600 students, just to kind of give you an idea of the balance between the two. So East Hardin will, just by necessity, it is a larger building. But we got lots of good feedback on the way North functions, and primarily you'll notice this idea of having separate classroom wings that kind of came out of our block diagram exercise and how the building would function. And so where that took us was a plan. Well, before I get there, talk a little bit about the site plan. This is off of New Glendale Road, so this is New Glendale right through here. The new state police post building complex is right here. The John Deere sales are right up here off of McCamish Road, up here off of this corner. And so this red line that you see are the 18 acres that compose our site. And again, the site schematic for this, we've rotated that by comparison, but this is New Glendale here. McCamish is here, and so the access road to the state police post, which sits right here. And so you can start to see how the building's been shaped with the classrooms wings here, 1, 2, and 3, gymnasium sort of in the middle of the heart of the building, cafeteria and kitchen to the rear of the bus loop on this side, what I've called a STEAM enrichment kind of wing, and I'll show you that in the plan. And then the library and administrative wing kind of coming off of the front of the building. So the main front door and canopy sits right here for car riders, and then the bus riders are brought back to the other end. And we've also, again, we've master planned the site to where you can add on to the building in the future, so you sort of see a softening of the green space here with the ability to add on to the wings in the future, and also adding other site features, baseball, softball, just so that we maximize the use of the land for the district going forward. But this is our first floor plan. Again, it's a 2-story scheme similar to North Hardin. You can really start to see the plan shape up now. What we like to refer to as a Main Street plan, where if I come in this entry or I come in this entry, you get this nice view kind of all the way front to back through the building unobstructed. But all the other instructional space and special space kind of springs off of that. I can come into administration, I can come into any one of the wings, I can come into the cafeteria, I can come into the gym. Bathrooms are located off of that Main Street corridor as well, elevator, concessions room, all of that sort of happens in that main hall space. Low incidence and special education resource rooms are located up in this wing as well. And the idea of having administration sort of scattered throughout the building with workspace is also incorporated into this building. The enrichment wing that I mentioned sitting over here, which is music and vocal arts, STEM, computer lab, art, all make this plan very, very special, kind of functioning together. And then up on the second floor, we have the balance of the classroom wings, so resource rooms for each wing. The second floor actually gets the gifted and talented room here in the light green space. We've even included space for VEX Robotics in the plan so that they have a home in the building. The second computer lab, which actually connects to robotics right through here with this door as well. And then the large yellow space that you see is the media center that serves the building up on the second level. Again, similarly, what does the building look like? Somewhat similar to Lincoln Trail, a little bit different in character. But basically, or the majority of it is a brick building with some fiber cement paneling on it. Again, sloped metal roof to house the mechanical systems in the building. Again, these elevations really start to speak to the character of the classroom wings that come out left and right of the building. This happens to be the music wing, so we've actually got nice tall space in the band room and music arts because those spaces need to be tall to enhance their acoustics. And then the other classrooms is a special education over here, library media center on this side. And again, ultimately, what does it look like? And so we brought the renderings, at least they're works in progress, I will say that. So this is a schematic level, and things will change. We'll continue to tweak and ultimately perfect the designs as we go forward. But this is where we stand today with the effort. We've worked really diligently with the committee to get to this point, and I think by and large, East has a sort of a nice, tall, monumental character to it that is appropriate for the site. So with that, I'm going to be quiet, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
I think for the public watching, please know during the retreat today, we received this detailed information, but thought it was important to share with the community so you could see the exciting things happening for these students. So please know we've spent a great deal of time looking through this through multiple meetings, and thanks to Mr. Stith for making those meetings happen with all the folks coming to those on a every other week basis. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. If I could add to, I want to thank Rob, of course, his team, but all the directors throughout the district. We've had our preschool director, special ed, technology, buildings and grounds. All those folks have looked over this and looked at it from their specific vantage point so that every child gets what they need in those buildings. So I really appreciate all the different departments and instruction's been involved. That's what we do, but Greg's been involved in that as well. So I appreciate all their help.
As do I.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And we as a board, we also appreciate what y'all have done on it. I guess sometimes, we get complaints and things, and the general public has no idea sometimes of what is involved in getting through a project and trying to think out where everything goes. They think you just hire an architect and they throw a plan down and that's it. But principals, everyone, maintenance, it's a large undertaking to build a school. We're trying to be as cost efficient as we can, and what do we get? Sometimes we get bad reviews in the paper. But we're here to make the best issue for the students that we can, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
I think it's important to point out one of the things the board wanted to make sure of is that we were utilizing space. So Mr. Dill was pointing out the library media centers are one floor instead of two, and that extra space is being utilized for STEAM or for VEX Robotics, which is the big thing right now, but in the future that could change. So those rooms are available for that. So really trying to utilize the space and be good stewards.
And we've kind of gone back to the two-story concept of schools due to the fact that they have half the roof. We're trying to really be cost efficient. And that's part of the reason for the 2 stories. A lot of us attended 2-story schools a long time ago, and the trend was to go away. And of course, we had the old GC Burkhead there at one time that was California style, and then all of a sudden it was the most unsafe school that was ever built in the United States. And so things change in this world. They change all the time. And 20 years from now, somebody might say this school is terrible, and it may be. But as of today, we're going to do the best thing that we think is out there for the student safety and learning center for them. All right, we're down to the consideration of the consent agenda, and I have one question on it. We're approving the house next to John Hardin School at Circles. Is that the house over by the old
Greenhouse?
greenhouse?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Property, are we hanging on to the?
Hang on to the property, just the building itself, if you drive by there, you can board it up.
I understand, yeah, but we're not doing anything with the real estate. We're just
You know, we just want to get rid of the
get rid of the structure.
potential liability if someone got in there. And
I agree.
Okay, very good, yeah.
I got to second guessing that, and I hadn't really asked you about it, and, yeah.
Dean,
All right.
had his backhoe out, I guess, Joe, and got rid of 2 of the trailers that we talked about the last meeting at New Highland. So we want to add this to our list of things that go away. So
Put more trailers on your list.
we'll do it. We'll do it.
They're getting few and far between, but that's good.
It's really good.
Okay, the accident illness report was some less due to the nurses that we had this year full-time and so forth, or did we have enough gain to?
We did, as a school district, we had some gains, and honestly, the parents would probably be a better recipient of that when the students can be seen at the school and given medication to be more preventative ahead of time.
So we are providing nurses again at all of our schools again this year.
Yes.
We joined, I think, last week with Cumberland, or last month. We signed that agreement, so we're going to partner with them instead of Hardin County.
Yes, and that will, Cumberland will be in January. However, we will have nurses at all of our schools at the beginning of the school year.
So, all right. So we are approving the BG1 for East Hardin Middle School project and the Lincoln Trail Elementary project. We're also approving the owner-architect agreement for Lincoln Trail Elementary and John Hardin. We are using a construction manager this time instead of a general contractor. We've had several meetings and thoughts about this instead of using a general contractor. Hopefully we can avoid some of the problems that we have encountered in a couple of our school buildings with some leaks and construction not being exactly what we thought it was. Construction manager will be a between person of Hardin County Schools and the subs doing the work. So we're trying our best to make everything perfect on that, and we've got a little ways to go on Cecilia. School is a good, safe school, but we just got some aesthetic issues. I guess I would say that.
Some fit and finish issues at this
And
point.
finish issues, yeah. All right, anyone else have any questions or anything they want to pull out here?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Anything else, anyone want to question? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we're down to action items. We don't have anything on
No, sir.
action items. New business,
No, sir.
superintendent's report.
Yes, and just, I know Ms. Hahn had to leave, but we have had a great deal of opportunities for our students over the summer. Several of our schools are doing Get Ready camps at this very time. Some of those will end tomorrow. Other schools will actually start next week. Between the summer reading program and our cruise and cafe that we have available for our students and our lunch sites at each of those locations. So please know during the summer, the students may have the opportunity to enjoy rest and relaxation, but there is also a great deal of dedication happening by all the different groups. Building and Grounds continues to work, our custodians. You still have bus drivers bringing in students for these reading programs. So I hope everyone's enjoying the last few weeks of summer break. But a lot of folks have not had a summer break because they have been working hard preparing or making sure the students have opportunities over the summer. So just thanks to everyone who continues to work hard. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And Jan, we didn't really pull the principal's office out of your school, okay?
I said that would be okay. We'll be able to.
So executive session, we don't need an
No, sir.
executive session tonight. Board calendar is there. Next time we meet, school will be in session. And
That's
hopefully.
amazing.
It is. It's been a really short summer, and I'm sure the kids think so, but
Where are we going for our new meeting?
City Valley will be the next noon meeting, and
Mr. Wright, do you care to share the dates of the open enrollment for the district?
So the 26th and the 27th.
Open enrollment for Hardin County Schools is July 26th and 27th. So please, if you are new to the community or know someone who's new to the community, let them know to come in on those 2 dates. And our first day for students will be August the 9th.
There's a lot of dates, Ms. Morgan, on our website. And folks just go to our website and see the important dates before school starts.
Yes, if you will go to the Hardin County School websites, all of those dates are available for you.
all right. If there's no other business, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh my gosh.
Motion carries. Y'all have a safe trip home.